Are you someone who has spent a lot of money on HIIT training classes? You go every single day and you think you eat pretty well, but you're just not seeing results. Or maybe you're someone who also is traveling for work all the time. You have to entertain clients and you have a robust social life. So you feel like I've got to say yes to everything. But then you look in the mirror and you don't love how you feel in your body. You're not seeing the results that you want. And ultimately, your internal confidence it doesn't match how you're presenting to everyone else. Well, today you're in for a treat because she gets to share her story. My client Kelsey, who has successfully created a foundation of health underneath her through the Mindset and Matter program. Now, this client spotlight is one that I think every single one of you listeners will relate to. She talks about everything from dating to her social life to her job and career and entertaining clients to how she learned to be more confident in herself and in other areas of her life through this process. So I hope that you guys take everything. She's going to teach you a lot too. Take everything that you can from this episode. Welcome back to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, the podcast where we have honest conversations about food, body, exercise, and mindset. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, licensed associate marriage and family therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. And we have candid conversations about how your mind, your body, and your identity are one integrated system and teach you how to treat it accordingly. So if you're a high-performing individual who loves educational, thoughtful, and no bullshit conversations around health and wellness, you're in the right place. Here we believe what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. So let's have a conversation about that. Here she is. Welcome, Kelsey, to the show. Yay!
Yay! So happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. And like we were talking about beforehand, I feel like I need to give more space to individuals like yourself because your story is a real story that real women and men experience. And I couldn't think of anyone else that I would want to do one of the most recent spotlights on. So thank you, for being here. So we're just going to jump into it. Hey, we're just going to jump right into it because I think that today is going to be filled with a lot of information that a lot of people can relate to. So before we started working together, what was your relationship like with health and fitness? Like, where were you at? What had you done prior to our work?
Oh, yeah. So before we started, I spent so much time busting my butt at HIIT classes for the most part. I was living in Chicago. We had berries, which I absolutely loved. And I would do that probably anywhere from like 3 to 5 days a week. And then I'd substitute or implement solid core in between. And I felt like also because I was walking a ton in the city, I felt like I was like in pretty good shape. And then I moved to Michigan and we don't have berries here. So I joined Orange Theory down the street from my house because I knew it would be convenient and easy to go to. And I had no excuses with it being like 3 minutes away. But it got to a point where I was doing that for about probably a year and a half. And in the beginning, I saw decent results, right? Like I saw some weight loss, I saw some muscle getting built. But after that, probably year and a half point, they would do these in-body scans. And every time I would look at them, I'm like, my weight is either going up or staying the same. And I saw my fat was increasing. And so I was like, something's got to be off here because maybe I was going probably 3 or 4 days a week. Maybe I need to increase that. So I started going to classes more frequently.
Oh, no.
Then I started, because I was like, I obviously, I'm missing something. And then I started adding in these strength portions of the class as well. And sometimes doing like 2-a-day classes. And so I would be exhausted by the time I got home, and have like a full work day ahead and would have to obviously like make a meal in the evening. And I was so tired from just that one workout that I wouldn't want to do anything the rest of the day. So it became like my life was very sedentary and then I didn't feel like making anything. So I started eating out more, ordering DoorDash, whatever it might be. And I just remember feeling really frustrated and lost because I'm like, how much do I have to put in to get out what I'm looking for? And so I started talking to people about nutrition and started trying to read up on that and change those things. So I thought maybe it's my diet. And still I was seeing the fat increase in all of my body scans. And it was infuriating.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Did I know that? I don't think I knew that.
I may not have told you that at the beginning. Yeah, I don't think I did because I don't know. I probably didn't go into as much detail, but it
Mhm.
was a lot. And luckily, one of my friends had worked with you, and I
Mhm.
saw such significant changes to her, not only her body, but just like her overall mental well being and confidence and everything. And I thought, like, okay, she's onto something. Like, this worked for her, and I would love to talk to her coach. And so that led me to reaching out to you and getting into
Mhm.
this experience, which has changed everything
Yes.
for the better.
I love it. And I love that story. And I think why you probably didn't share that part of it was because maybe at that time you didn't realize like how different we
Yes.
were going to approach this. So now like kind of hindsight looking back like no, muscle is what I want to gain. Like I want to see more muscle
Yeah.
than anything else. And at the time, yeah, that's I'm very glad you shared that because I like I said I didn't know. And it is frustrating and we're going to get into kind of like your career and stuff, but you're a go-getter. Like you're a
Yeah.
go-getter. You and I are very similar in that. And for us, I think it's oftentimes like, okay, well, that's not doing enough. So do more.
Right.
Right. And when it
Yes.
comes to fitness or exercise, a part of the very important part of the process is that recovery. Right. But if we don't know that, we're like, whatever I put more effort into something, I get a good outcome. That's usually
Yeah.
how life works. However, not this time. And that's why it becomes so frustrating. You're like, wait, why isn't this working for me? It works in
I
every
know.
other part of my life. Why, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. You have to rewire your brain of thinking less actually is more in a lot of these cases. I mean, I didn't have to
Mhm.
do really a lot of cardio. It was more
Yeah.
about lifting weights and building that muscle to get that more toned look that I wanted and to feel, you know, more, I guess, like in shape than I was before. And so that was a really hard process for me to grasp, is like thinking about it like, wait, I'm only going to the gym a few days a week and doing 45 minutes to an hour long workout versus 5 to 7 days a week. And I'm still
And
sweating and getting a good
sweating.
workout, but I'm not exhausted. Like I haven't drained
Right.
my whole body,
Mhm.
and depleted it of
Yeah.
its energy. So,
Yeah, no, that's you made a good point too of that I worked myself so hard that then I'd be depleted for the rest of the day and you used a great word, sedentary. And that for listeners that is so real you guys because when you exert that much energy for that short amount of time and you're not fueling yourself properly to exert that much energy, your body is actually going to pull back on your NEAT, your non-exercise activity. You'll I've seen this in times where I will do these I'll get a like hair up my ass and want to do like Murph. I did that on Memorial Day,
oh
which
yeah.
is like a crazy workout. And then I didn't do anything for the rest of the day because my body's like, yeah, right. you were you were sick for 2 weeks and that's the first workout you went back. But for listeners, your body is going to reduce the amount of energy that you use for the rest of the day, which ultimately makes you move less. And when I'm talking about move less, it's like not tapping your pen or tapping your toe. You'll just kind of be stuck on the couch. And so
Yes.
that right there is so, so, so real. So speaking of moving pens, what I love about your story is that you don't have a 9 to 5 like traditional job. You don't go from desk to home. We've met up in New York because you were
Yes.
there for work. And I am obsessed with how robust your social life is. I think you live a very full life. And I think for a lot of people, they think that number one, if they travel for work or they don't have a traditional predictable schedule, that they cannot do anything with their health and wellness. But then number two, and probably the one that majority of people relate to is I don't want to give up my social life. So talk to
Yeah.
me, just talk to us about what that looks like and how that was a struggle prior to our work together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in my role in sales, I'm constantly entertaining clients. So it's a lot of lunches out, dinners out, happy hours, going to different events. And then I was probably traveling like every 2 to 3 weeks to see customers because I didn't have many that were local at the time. And I do have a very social life. I'm very involved in a lot of things in the Detroit area. And so it was very challenging to try to eat well. And part of it was that I wasn't educated enough on what to choose when I go out that I can still enjoy. I didn't want to feel so restricted in what I was choosing to eat. And so it took a lot of that mind work and development with you to go through, okay, here are things that, you like to eat, and maybe here's tweaks that we make, or here's different things to order off the menu that are still going to be very filling and are still going to be flavorful and that you can enjoy. And I
Mhm.
would say on the other part of that is when traveling, I never thought to DoorDash to a hotel. And why wouldn't I? Because I do it at home. So it was amazing I should say DoorDash, Instacart, I guess is probably better, but
Mhm.
Instacarting groceries. And that was the thing that totally flipped it around for me, was that I was able to have breakfast and lunch delivered to the hotel, for the week. I would pick things out. It was there when I landed. I could just go up to the front desk when I checked in, grabbed my food, went upstairs, put it in the fridge, and then I was able to
Mhm.
bring that to the office. And I would say, for just a piece of advice, do not worry about what other people think, because
Yes.
I had to get over that in the beginning. So I was like, oh, is it going to be weird that they ordered lunch for everybody, but I'm eating this? But once you
Mm.
start talking to people about what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish, I think that they can relate on some level to that. And I
Mhm.
think it almost encourages other people to try to look at things differently and try that the next time they go somewhere. I had a lot of coworkers be
Absolutely.
like, oh, I should do that next time we travel. And it just made life a
Yes.
lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's the hack, man.
It
I
was so
traveled
simple.
recently. Right, it is so simple, and we don't think about that. Like, I actually have a client right now, she's in a conference, she's like, "Oh, I forgot my da da da," and I'm like, there's these things, they're called stores,
Yeah.
and you can go get things or have them DoorDash to you. She's like, "Oh, shit, duh," but most hotels will have a fridge, right? You can if they don't, you can normally ask for one, and a microwave as well, because they have to have a fridge for medical reasons, for medications and things like that. So most hotels will have them. And if they're obviously not using them for that reason, they will allow you to use them. And what I love about that is you're still going to those dinners at night. And it's not like you're
Hmm.
bringing your food to those dinners. So at least you're saying, what can I control? Right? What is in my
Right.
control right now? Because number one, traveling is just tough on your body, right? The airports, the shitty beds, all of that. It's just really tough. Then if we're eating all of our meals, out and they're very indulgent, we're just going to the recovery from our travel is going to be really difficult. It's going to take us days to recover from it, and that affects our productivity, that affects us in our leadership role, whatever that is. And I love that not only did you find the changes that we made simple, but effective as well,
Yeah.
and with your like you're talking about with your social life. I mean, you guys, Kelsey is like the shit. She is in all of these the sporting events. I mean, we have looked
Do
at
a
all
lot.
of the vending at I think Michigan games, Detroit Tigers games, Lions games. I don't think you've gone
Any
to a
Detroit
Pistons
sporting
game.
event, find me there.
Yeah. Do you go to Pistons games? Because I don't think I looked at a Pistons.
I
Remember we
only
looked at the
had one.
concessions?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I've only
that's so
been to
funny.
one, which is kind of sad because they're doing so well. But I went to one last year for my
Mhm.
birthday. It was very fun. They were
Oh,
in the
that's fun.
playoffs, but yes. But yes, you can
Yeah.
make good decisions still at concession stands, believe it or not. You can get,
Yeah.
if you want like a, burger or something, just get like a grilled chicken sandwich. It's all good.
Right.
Still tastes
It's
great.
all good. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that you've ruined your diet. It's like, no, I just had
No.
even if you choose the burger, it's like, I just had a burger. It's fine.
Yeah.
I love that. So talk to me about kind of confidence, because obviously a person in your role, you're in front of people. You even from the get-go, you're very confident, and I see that. Like you have such a warm personality, and I think people probably are just drawn to you. But I'm wondering, in that period where you were going through the Orange Theory and kind of not seeing the results, did it affect you at all with your confidence in yourself? Are you tired of wasting your money on diet and exercise program that leave you feeling pretty much the same? You're spinning your wheels, but the food noise is still there, the body dysmorphia, the overtraining and not seeing results, the emotional eating, it's all still there. But you don't think you have an option because they're pretty much all the same. What if the next program you invest in combines therapeutic practice with exercise and nutrition science and behavioral change? What if this program focuses on what you say in your mind so that you can have a better relationship on what you see in the mirror. Hi, I'm Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I'm the founder of the Mindset and Matter coaching program. Here, we see your mind, your body, and your identity as one integrated system and treat it as such. We focus on your self-defeating beliefs and understand how they impact your behaviors and thus the outcomes that you feel stuck in. We do this through the Mindset Method, my psychological curriculum that I've curated with over 15 years experience and adapted it to you, the average woman, and this coaching program. This is one method, one program, one coach, and let's face it, the one area you've probably never done the work on. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels and wasting your money, check out the link below for more information.
Yes, I would say for sure it did. I think one of the things, especially, I'm sure, I don't know if, I'm guessing men probably feel this way too, but definitely with women, I think one of the things is that we immediately think that people are going to judge us based on what they see first, which is how you look. And so, I would say subconsciously, I don't think it was something that I talked a lot about with like my friends or anything. I do appear as a very confident person, but at that time, inside, I was probably exuding more confidence externally than I actually felt. And a lot of that was just because it wasn't even so much, I think I used to associate it with it's the way that my body looks, but I think it was a combination of all of these things that were going on. Like I'm trying really hard and not seeing results. So I feel like I'm not that perfectionist that I kind of grew up trying to be, right? And I felt that I was letting myself down from that aspect. And when I would go out and I wasn't making, great decisions per se on like what I was choosing to eat or how often I was going out and drinking with people, because in social settings, that's especially in the US, very easy and common to do. And you're kind of looked at weird if you're not. And so which is annoying, but it's just a weird generational and cultural thing. And so, I think what would happen is I would like come home and I would think, oh, like I'm so bummed because I just, I ate so well the last few days and then I went out and did this and now I just feel like I ruined the progress. And then that would kind of spiral into, well, if I ruin the progress today, like I might as well just keep going. And then I'd feel even worse, if that makes sense. And so internally, I think that chipped away at my confidence and how I talked to myself about myself. And other people wouldn't necessarily see that, but I think that knowing how I am now, and this may come with age as well, but I think a lot of it has to do with the work that we did primarily, is that I do feel much more confident in rooms with people. I do feel more confident when I go out with my friends. I feel like in the dating world, like I'm much more confident than I used to be before. Like I would never approach somebody. Now I'm like, I couldn't care less. If they're not interested, they'll just say like, thanks, like so nice of you to say hi. Who cares? Whatever. Walk away, move on. It's all good. But I would never have done that before. And I think that it was just all changing the mindset. And that was the biggest difference with, what you do versus what I worked on with other people, is that you really get to the heart of like what's going on internally and mentally before we go into, the nutrition and the exercise and everything else, because it starts with how you feel inside. And, and then you start working towards ways to improve that. And I know we called my inner critic Karen. I was like, okay, we're going to put a stop to this. Like anytime negative thoughts came up, at Karen, not today. I'm not doing this today.
We're not doing this today.
We're not.
So for listeners, that's literally something I started saying to my inner critic a long time ago. So I teach it to my clients. Now, is that just like populate whenever she's there? Yeah.
All the
time. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
It's so great. It's like,
and I actually noticed that she's there less, which is good.
Yeah, it's true.
But,
because
if I have a day where I'm just like not, usually if you're like bloated or whatever, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, no, Karen, nope, we're not doing this right now. We're not going to say anything bad. It's just, it's temporary, ebbs and flows. Yes. All good.
It's so, I love that because number one, it just makes me so happy that I've seen, okay, so this is kind of, actually, I'm going to say this to you, but cut this out, Ira. Like, I've seen your progress, obviously, this whole time, but like to then take this kind of step back and look at it through the whole span of our time work together, it's like it made my heart was like a little like giddy. Like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing to hear that like even that stuff that we worked on is still there and it's still effective.
Yes.
Actually, I keep that shit back in. Or keep it in. And you can keep that part in too. No,
It is.
it
It's those
yeah.
long-term habits. So if you have, a couple days or you go on a vacation and you're like, hey, like I'm just gonna eat what I want, just have a good time, that's
Mhm.
okay. You just come back to it. And the reason it doesn't feel like it's such a loss or like you've ruined everything is because over time I've just developed those habits and the mental work
Mhm.
and the nutrition and the fitness. And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, better way to
Yeah.
explain it.
Well, I was just thinking like how many trips you've had that were for fun and pleasure because obviously your family lives in another state. You guys have homes in on the
In Florida,
ocean.
yeah.
Is it, yeah, as in I didn't want to
Marco
say that.
Island,
So
yeah. Yeah.
not like people are gonna go find you or anything.
That's okay.
On Marco Island. And then you've come here, you went through a kitchen renovation in your
Yes.
home,
Oh my gosh,
which
painful.
but you figured it out, and
Yes.
in our work together is always you're so open to adapting. And let's come back to that in your mindset even that want to, when I first met you, there was a lot of that, I don't want to disappoint anyone. Or like you said, you never said this overtly, but it was, kind of something that I heard kind of when we read through the lines that, I don't want, to upset anyone, or I don't want to feel like I'm being left out or that I'm doing something different than other people or they're going to judge me when it comes to, like you said, not drinking, right?
Yeah.
Or having a soda water or choosing the healthy meal. And you've done so much work on that part. And I think that's
Hmm.
so important because what I'm hearing you say is when you started to create those boundaries with yourself or with other people, you were able to then come into, well, what do I want? What does this
Yes.
look like for me? Right. And that's true confidence, right? It starts within you. And talk to me about how has your experience been with kind of stepping away from, we'll call it people pleasing, but I think there's
Yeah.
more layers to it, but that people pleasing and worried about what everyone else thinks.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's so liberating to not worry about what other people think. And I honestly, half the time, I think about when I go out with friends, I have friends who don't drink. I have friends who don't want to drink that night. And so they do the same thing. They'll get a club soda with a lime. I have never once in my
Mhm.
head thought, that's weird. I'm just like, good for them. That's great.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think
Right.
that people aren't necessarily constantly sitting there watching you wondering like why you're making decisions you're making. So
Mhm.
I think sometimes that helps just reverting back to me like, do I care about what they're doing? No. So they don't care about me. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with them. If I have goals that I'm trying to achieve, I think that's where you have to focus. Like what's best for you? Because I will say, like, even in my social life, like unrelated to, drinking or eating out or whatever, it was also just saying like yes a lot to things. And I would
Oh,
overwhelm
yeah.
my calendar and I would be like, I really just want a night alone, but I feel guilty because I already committed to this. So I got to go do it, but I don't really want to. And then when I was there, I felt like I probably wasn't the best version of myself because in the back of my mind, I'm like, I really just need a night off. Like my social battery is drained. I don't really want to do this. And I would do that in relationships too. And like, those are things that now I have said, like, okay, if I've got, let's say, something recurring every week, the next night, I don't do anything. I don't make plans. Don't care what
Yes.
it is. I'm just like, it's not happening. That's my night to myself that I just need to get stuff done at home or even just to just relax and like read a book or
Mhm.
watch a show and
Yep.
decompress. It's so important to set those boundaries. And I think I was so worried back when we started about what other people would think about that. But I realized people give you a lot of respect for that. And
Mhm.
even if I do go out and back to the drinking thing, like if I go out and order a club soda, I have a lot of friends who are like, you're being so good. Like I should do that too. I'm going to get one the next round, or
Yep.
ordering out. They're like, oh, I wish I would have ordered that. Now I feel, X, Y, or Z. Like either they're bloated or they're tired or they ate too much. And whereas I'm
Mhm.
sitting there and I'm like, I feel great. But they're like,
Right.
yeah, you know. it's all about the decisions that you make. And I don't think that anyone else is necessarily going to care. And if they do, then they're probably not worth being in your circle.
Exactly.
So
Well, and I will let everyone know that your social life has not, and the invites haven't slowed down.
no, I
So,
haven't missed a beat
you know
for
what I'm
better
saying?
or
Like,
worse, but
even with the boundaries that you've set, it's not like people are like, well, she's not going to come, because you've learned how to
no.
balance it,
Yes.
right?
Because you worry if you
And
say no to too many things, you're not going to get invited again. But
nope.
people respect it if you want a night
It's
off.
quality,
Okay.
baby, over quantity. And
Yes.
when you recharge yourself like that, the quality of people's experience is just it's going to be better,
Yeah.
when you're not drained and in your head, or you have the to-do list at home. You wish you were doing the laundry or whatever it is you need to get done, and you're not engaged in the conversation, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's great. I love it so much. One thing you said that I want to bring up as well, because you and I talked about this recently, of people do respect it. And
Hmm.
when you work in industries where you've got to, entertain and do the, meals out, dinners out, and you're also trying to maintain your goals. And let me just interrupt myself. It's not even for you at this point maintaining your goals, which we'll talk about. This is your life. This is your
Yeah.
lifestyle. And for people out there, I want you to understand, my goal with my clients is that it's more about, what do I want to indulge in? Like, and when? Because
Hmm.
eating with a customer, probably it's transactional, right? When I was in sales, I had a lot of customers I loved. So, like,
Yeah.
if I was going with them, I might have a little bit more fun with them, but like, I'm not going to do that with every customer, because they weren't my friends. And it's a transactional experience if we really break it down, right? And in that meal, I'm going to choose the healthy thing, right? And save, if you will, those indulgences for maybe a DAC event, or a game that I go to, whatever that looks
Yeah.
like. So just wanted to say that. But coming back to the respect thing, I think that people really do, especially in corporate settings and business settings, respect those boundaries.
Hmm.
We're afraid they're going to think, oh no, they're going to judge us. But what has been your experience with that lately? Because that was something we talked about
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
So for background, yeah, I reached out to Christina because I was going to, I'm starting to take a lot of customers out locally now because a lot of them are within like 30 minutes of where I live. And I was always taught from a very early point in my career, like you mirror the customer. So I'm like, okay, well, if the customer is having like a couple of drinks at dinner, you're kind of supposed to follow suit, but I don't know that that's like the best decision or even a decision that I want to make because,
Hmm.
I would rather, to your point, have that glass of wine or that cocktail with my best friends, not with
Right.
a client. I will, but I would, I'd prefer to save it. So you gave a really good point in just saying, I'm going to have one with you and then I'm going to the gym in the morning. And I was telling you before too that I actually had a client who did the reverse. Like he is very into fitness and health and we met up for happy hour and he said, if you want to grab a cocktail, you're more than welcome to. He's like, I'm not drinking tonight. I go to the gym, every morning and get there early. And I just try to watch kind of what I eat out when I'm, with vendors and things like that. And so we ended up just ordering dinner and had a great conversation and it was really awesome. And it didn't need to involve all of that. And so I remember sitting there thinking what you said. Like I was like, oh, I really respect him for, sticking to his boundaries and staying healthy and doing the things that are going to make him feel his best that night, the
Hmm.
next day, whatever. And it's something that I really want to take with me going forward. And so I haven't had a dinner yet, but next dinner I will be absolutely using that because
Yeah.
no one's going to tell you like, oh, no, just don't go to the gym in the morning. People are not
No.
like that, So it's a
And like I
totally legitimate
said,
excuse and no one
yeah,
cares. And who cares what they do?
no, nobody cares. And honestly, people just knew that's who I was, and that you'll build that experience as well.
Yeah.
And it's almost a privilege, if you will. That sounds so bouge, but when you do let loose with them, in
Yeah.
these unique events where it's not all of the time. right? And
Right.
they're like, "Oh, she's, coming
Like
out
she's gonna have
tonight."
fun tonight. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's selective, and I'm glad that, you have that confidence now in doing that, and again, too, as, someone who owns a business and works with different vendors, it also, to me, says, and again, this is just my mindset, and I am judging that person in a way to say, "Oh, I feel actually really comfortable with that person
Yeah.
because they seem so secure in what they have going on that in my head it translates to their work ethic as well.
Right.
So I love that. Love, love, love. So let's talk. You talked about the gym and like going to the gym and using that as your boundary. My girl never stepped foot in a traditional gym,
Oh
right?
my
When
God,
we started
never.
together.
I had never lifted a barbell in my life. And I
Let's
remember you
talk
saying,
about
like, you should have told me. I'm like, it's fine.
it.
I'll figure it out. Yeah, I went, oh my God, I will, that day is like etched in my mind. So yeah, I
Mhm.
signed up for this gym by me. I walk in. Obviously, I know nobody in the classes. You get to talk to people and get to know them, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I've done, obviously dumbbells and classes, never touched a barbell in my life. And I ended up going over to the barbell, looking at the exercise video you gave me, but not being confident enough in myself to be like, I can do that or I can do it
Mhm.
properly. So I remember just going back to the front desk and I said, can someone on the staff here show me? I go, I already have the exercises, so I don't need like a trainer, but I need somebody to show me how to do these and how to do it properly. So this
Love
girl
it.
was so sweet, walked me around, showed me how to use everything, kind of told me, she's like, okay, well, the, barbells are usually like 45 pounds. So just know that like when you add weight to it, you calculate that together and stuff like that. So, anyways, the first few days were a little iffy, but I was like, I just got to do it. I know the more that I do this, the easier it'll get. And I remember probably like 2 or 3 weeks in, one of the guys at the gym came over and introduced himself, and he was like, I know you're new. He's like, and I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, I assume that you're new going to the gym because I've seen you here the last few weeks, but I just wanted to tell you, like, you've improved dramatically already and don't give up. Like, you're doing great. If you need help with anything, let me know. And I just thought it was like the kindest thing, that he went
Mhm.
out of his way to do that. And it made me feel
Yeah.
so comfortable. Like, okay, people here are not judging anybody. If anything, they just want to help. Like, if they see that you're struggling with something, they'll want to help you. And so yeah, I see it a lot, at my own gym, and I try to always lend a helping hand to people. And some people even come over
Because
and
you
been like, "What are you
can.
doing? It looks cool." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll tell you what it works at.
I love it
Pay it
because you
forward."
now are the pro in the
Yeah,
gym. It's
no, I don't even think
crazy.
twice about it. I go in and
Yeah.
I love getting new workouts from you and like trying new things, and it's just fun. It makes it
Yeah.
exciting and never
I
have to
love
worry
that
about
so
anything at
much.
a gym. Like people do not care. Everyone's there for the same reasons. So
Mhm.
don't
Absolutely.
be afraid of
It
it.
is a very inclusive place. The only one judging anyone is me towards the personal trainers who put these people through these terrible workouts. I was at the gym once. Most personal trainers will tell you this. I train a client here in person and we were going to her gym. Now she just comes to my house. But we were going to her gym and I was walking on the treadmill and this trainer had this lady who was, I'm guessing, a bit under conditioned just from the response I saw from the
Okay,
movements.
yeah.
She warmed her up with burpees. And I was like, that is not
Too
what we
much.
should be doing. Way too much. Like heart rate through the roof. She was dying before the workout even began. So that's the only person judging anyone is a
Yes.
trainer to a trainer who's not taking care of their clients. But
Yeah.
no, I just the confidence and for me watching it grow and the fact that you were not scared to ask, that's why people are there. That's their job, right?
Yeah.
To help out and, make sure that everyone's being safe. And I just remember you saying, "Oh yeah, I asked someone and they came over and helped me. And if anytime you got a new movement, you would just go ask." So
Yeah.
everyone, that is something that is available to you at the gym. And it's
They're
one of
more
my
than happy to help. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
seriously.
they really are. Well, and it's one of my favorite goals that we don't really talk about a lot is building confidence in that setting
Yeah.
where you, you know, we're afraid to go. You're afraid of that judgment. I don't really know what I'm doing. And then over time, and with you very quickly, and a lot of other clients I've worked with, you're like, this isn't scary,
Mm-mm.
and I can do this. And now, like I said, you're a pro, which is absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. So,
Thank you.
okay, so that was a goal. Talked a lot about a lot of accomplishments. Do you want to share a little bit about your wins that you've
Yeah,
had? Because if you realize, like, you haven't been in like a like cut
over a
since,
year for sure.
yeah, over a year. So
Yeah.
what wins would you like to share with our audience?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny looking back on that because in the beginning it was like I wanted to focus so heavily on the cut because I thought, yes, I'm gonna like get this weight off, get the fat off, blah, 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 and get this
Mhm,
tone body. And then it started to become more about maintenance because it did get to a certain point too. The cut is obviously temporary. So I will say to anybody out there that's gonna go through that or that already has, I mean, the struggle. And it is hard. It's with a social life, at least like mine, I felt like and my job, it was difficult. So I really had to focus and pick a time where there was not a lot going on. But
mhm,
as life happens, I realized I was like, okay, I think, I've got to focus on maintenance. But I will say that's like the best thing ever because before we met, I was just gaining and gaining any time that I would go. I wasn't intentionally doing like deficits or anything, but I'm sure there were times where I was eating better and making better choices, and there were other times that I wasn't, and the weight would just go up and up. And then
mhm.
it's harder to lose. Here
Right.
with you, because we do track every day and something I actually still do every single day, I can kind of
Yeah.
tell what those patterns are and understand, okay, this is where it's starting to go up. So this is where we can dial it back. And these are like decisions I need to change when I'm making, going out to eat and things like that. But I have been able to maintain with really like very little to no weight gain for
Very
over a year and still keep my life pretty much the same. And even
Yep.
with the kitchen renovation, because I was freaking out, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to cook. I can't even go on my first floor. But
Yeah.
there were things that I could do. And there were, Trader Joe's, you be able to send me a shopping list. And I was able to find all of those and throw them in the microwave or the air fryer every day. It was so easy
Yeah.
and got the meal prep that was temporary, but there was a really great meal prep service that is local in Michigan, and they were wonderful, and those meals had a lot of protein in them, and they weren't like overloaded with fats and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
still very satisfying meals, but that really helped keep me on track in a very stressful time,
Yeah.
yeah, where you don't have a lot to use. So it's
Mhm.
looking at it that way, it's really not that hard. And I think in the beginning I made it so much more difficult on myself. I would think I've got to figure out what I'm eating tonight, and then it turned into, okay, let's not do it the night of, let's plan a week in advance. And then I thought I have to make these grandiose meals. So I'd spend all day on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon meal prepping for hours. And I remember thinking like, I don't want to spend all this time cooking. And so now I don't know why it took me so long. I finally got it down where I'm like, okay, I can just do a bunch of like, chicken breast diced up and put it in a container. And I can do ground chicken or ground beef or whatever and put that in a container. And I can make some, cauliflower rice or regular rice or pasta and some chopped vegetables. Get a vegetable
Mhm.
chopper if you don't have one.
Yes.
Best
Good
thing
call.
ever. But yeah, it just made it so easy. So now I can just throw it in a bowl and just do the measurements on the scale and heat it up in the microwave. It's really not that hard. It
Yeah.
takes 5 minutes.
It really is
And
not.
even to prep that, I don't know, maybe an hour max, maybe, probably not
Mhm.
even that long,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
like
So,
you said, you even have that the Trader Joe's list, which is for those
yeah.
listening, it's a nutrition guide that I created for 5-minute meal prep, 15-minute meal prep, and 25-minute meal prep. And when I think did we do the soft start, the 5-minute? Everything
Yeah, yeah,
microwaved?
because
Yeah.
there's some days too where like I was on I or not was, still can be on back to back to back to back calls. And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
have time to go even downstairs for like 10 minutes to make something. So if I just need to throw something in the microwave real quick, that is a lifesaver, when your schedule gets hectic because you still need to fuel your body.
Right. I guess I don't remember this off the top of my head, but prior to our work together, would you miss meals because of work?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a real thing.
I
Just
would
it's
go
3
through, yeah,
PM and I
I would
haven't eaten
eat
yet.
right. I used to like I never used to like breakfast. This is what's really interesting. I never used to eat breakfast. I didn't
Mm,
like it. I thought I don't want to eat first thing in the morning. Then I'd go do my workout. Then I get into work. And then it would just be like, well, it's almost close to lunchtime now. So I'll just eat lunch. And then my calendar
mhm.
would just fill up. And to your point, lunch would get away. And I'm like, oh, like 6 or 7 o'clock. And now I haven't eaten all day. And now I'm starving. And I don't want to
Right.
wait for my food to cook. So then, yeah, you end up ordering
Just
out, which
order
takes
it
about the
in.
same amount of time, which is silly in hindsight. But
I told
yeah,
someone that. Yeah.
now then I started putting blocks on my calendar when we started to
Hmm.
not have people book over, even if it was 15 minutes. I would just put like 15-minute lunch break or just break on my calendar, no calls,
Good.
and I'd go downstairs and
Hmm.
I'd be able to do that. Now it's just kind of habit. I'm like, I've trained my body. I'm like, I'm hungry after my workouts. I'm hungry at lunch and I'm hungry at dinner. So I go eat when I'm hungry.
Yes. And that is how your body should feel, everyone.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is a metabolically healthy body, which
Yeah.
I love. I love that you talked about the all or nothing thinking, right? Of getting started in something. Like I've got to make these
Hmm.
grandiose meals and it's got to be like a, 5 course thing
Yeah.
if I'm going to be healthy. And I think that mentality is so common. And, a lot of people see even, I like to post what I eat because it is quick. It's usually something that goes in an air fryer. I do make things on the stovetop, but I like to share that because I'm not eating chicken, rice, and vegetables. That's not
Yeah.
what I do. And I think, you learning like I do have those whole foods in my diet and when I have time, I make them a priority. They're in the fridge and when I have time I use them as well as I have these other options. And neither of the two are taking a ton of time out of my week. They're not boring, right? So I can
Yeah.
continue to eat them. I think that's just another thing. People make the food so bland and so boring that it's not satisfying. And food, you guys, should be satisfying because when you don't get that satisfaction, your brain says, we're not done here.
Yeah.
And it will go look for its satisfaction, which, ends up being in the pantry or whatever that is. And, just showing how you found that gray area of
Hmm.
I can have that balance of both of, you know, not only going out and eating meals and we should talk about that actually, finding what works for you, but I can have the easy meal prep that is maybe a microwaved food, but it's satisfying both from a time perspective, it keeps me full, and I know how to pair those foods together. And then when I have the time, I eat the whole foods. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about meals out because, you know, again, especially with my executives and, people in those, high performing, high pressure positions, they're out. They're out, whether
Hmm.
it's a gala or like we talked about client dinner, and they just feel like I can't figure it out. What is it
Yeah.
that you have learned that has helped you with that?
The method of protein first and then colors and then our love foods. This is
Love it.
ingrained in my memory from our time
Mhm.
together. But yes, if you're looking at the menu, one thing is if it's a really great restaurant, I keep telling myself it will be there. It's not going away. You can go back and get that pasta dish or whatever when you want. You don't need to get it
Right.
right now, which is
Mhm.
really helpful. And, I think I'm not really a huge, like, I wish I liked salmon. I really do, because I feel like that would be so easy, but I just don't. So I usually look at like the poultry or a steak option, something that
Mhm.
has a lot of meat, maybe not as much of the like sauces on it. Actually, the other night I was at a friend's birthday dinner and I ordered lemon chicken at this Italian restaurant and I asked for the sauce on the side so
Mm.
that I could just like, dip it in or whatever. I mean, you can do it either way, but
Yep,
it's
yep.
just a little tweaks that I've made here and there over time that have helped when eating out. So it still tastes good, but I'm not getting like it dumped on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are like minor things that you can do, but usually any lean protein, chicken, pork. I don't know if there's a lot of like turkey served at restaurants. Now I think about it, I don't really
Mm.
see that ever, but
Sometimes at
um,
barbecue restaurants, but that's really it.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or, we talk a lot like when I'm going out to dinner with clients, like just ordering a filet, just a leaner
Mhm.
piece of steak and it still tastes amazing. And, they got some good side dishes too to order with that. You can get green beans, asparagus, a salad,
Potato.
just easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
Baked
It's
in.
so easy. And I
I think
mean,
it's just learning those things. We're not necessarily always
mhm,
taught that.
right.
I wish
Right.
these are all things I wish I had known sooner. But once you like practice it a few times, you kind of get the hang of it. Now going out is pretty easy. I don't really second guess it anymore. I'm just like, okay, like I know what I've eaten, and if I do want to indulge in like the pasta dish, then I just plan my day differently out earlier and try to get more
Exactly.
proteins in earlier and do that later. It's all the balance. It's yeah, which seems so
Yeah.
complicated in the
I
beginning,
love it.
but it's not.
Yeah, it can be, especially if you're not thinking about it in a positive kind of educational way. Like, I'm learning
Yeah.
this. This isn't, a lot of people look at tracking and planning as, oh, it's a task. I have to do it, and oftentimes that is a true experience because their previous programs were that rice, and broccoli, and
Yes.
very restrictive, or they were just on really low calorie diets. So it was exhausting. So there's some of that residual exhaustion from previous programs, which I get and I validate that. But you very much came in as educating yourself and
Hmm.
learning and practicing. I remember the first time you went out, I believe it was with your girlfriends, and you did the protein first, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I did that. I still have the screenshot that you sent me in the app." Like, and it worked, and I left feeling good. And it was just,
Yeah.
once you realize, oh, I can, and just to reiterate, guys, it's protein first, then colors. So your greens, you could even, even your potatoes can be in there too. Fruit, if it's on the plate, then your love food. So I always like to use the example. I love steak 44 here. I think it's steak 48 everywhere else. Yeah, they have a beautiful filet, we'll get the Brussels sprouts, and then their mac and cheese is so good. So we'll get a side of that. So filet first, Brussels, then that like little side of mac and cheese. And I'm already a little bit full. So I enjoy my side of mac and cheese, and then I don't overeat it because you've already kind of
Yeah.
you've created traffic in your belly is the way I like to say it. So I'm so happy that
Yeah.
still sits well. So love
And
it,
then
love it,
one
love
thing
it.
too that I think was so helpful with that is even like for family events and things, a lot of times for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think a lot of people can relate, or any holidays you're spending with your extended families where there's like buffets laid out and there's a bunch of different things to choose from. Following that methodology, and you even told me you're like, walk around first, see all of the things that are on the table, and then decide like what do you really want. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
before, I would just, load one of each thing on the plate, and then you're like, oh my gosh, then you feel like you have to eat all of it in front of you, and that just
Yep.
creates chaos. And so
Yeah.
it
Yep.
was a lot easier
Triple
to
A.
follow and manage once you got those things down.
I'm obsessed. It makes me so happy. So, so happy. Anything else you want to share in regards to wins?
Man. Well, definitely, confidence went up in all aspects, not just about physical appearance, but just mentally feeling better, making better choices, being confident when I go out to make the right choices too. Like I'm not so, worried about what I'm choosing because I know that I've learned a lot and I'm going to continue to learn and continue to apply that. And then I would say that the confidence thing too, and I know I touched on this a little bit earlier, but it also is translated, into dating. Like I'm single, but I go on dates with people and I'm trying to find that person. And I think before we started, we talked a lot about, or I guess early on when we started, we talked a lot about I would get nervous. I'm like, well, I don't know if he likes me. Like we went on this date and I think it went well, but like I don't know what he thinks of me. And you turned it around and said, well, do you even like him? This isn't just let's worry about what you think about him. Like, because you do go into it and like, people, we're a catch. And so it's like,
Yeah.
you got to act
Yeah.
like it. You're the one that's, you want to
Exactly.
make sure that you're choosing the right person, not just that they're interested in you. And that was,
Exactly.
something that it, it took a little bit to click, but now I'm very, confident in that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going on these dates, but it's because I'm trying to evaluate, how do you best fit, I shouldn't say fit into my life, but are you a good match? Like do you hold the values and the things that I am looking for in a partner? And, it's not easy to find, but, eventually we'll get there, and I have all the faith in the world it'll happen. But yeah, but you've really got to kind of put them in the hot seat and make sure that they're the right person for you.
Right. Well, and it shows you, you have seen your value, and that
Hmm.
it's not me fitting into someone else's mold. Because I think when a lot of women do lack confidence, they will show up in a way I like to call it in the interview, right? Like they're getting interviewed and they're, when you get interviewed for a job, you always you want the best first impression, you want to say the best answer, right? And you get so in your head about, did I say that right? Is there something in my teeth? Da, da, da. And you're so mindless about who's in front of you and if they even like you. And then eventually over time, say you do date for a long period of time, that that performance or that interview style, it goes away because it's not who you are, right? And then
Yeah.
that's what causes a lot of struggles in relationships, when you show up as your true self. But knowing your value and saying, these are not only my value but what I value in life, what is important to me. When you find the right person, they're they're going to see that back in you, right? It's with the
Yeah.
wrong person that it's like weird or icky or whatever, because
Yeah.
it's not a match. And so, you know, you over this period, I just feel like hopefully none of these dudes listened, but like you've been able to be like,
I
you've
feel
been
like
able
they
to
do.
just be like, I, that's not for me, earlier than
Yes,
maybe you would
much,
have in the
much
past.
earlier.
Yeah. Just
Definitely have noticed that earlier. Yeah. Yeah. And I think
so
some of it stemmed
amazing.
too, just from past people that I had dated. I remember there was this one guy in Chicago. Hopefully he never hears this, but I had made a comment or two out, and whatever I said, like really was bothersome. And so I remember thinking, I better be really careful going forward what I say on dates in
Mm.
front of people. And I'd like bite my tongue, or I'd be like nervous to be fully myself, because I thought, well, I don't want to like disappoint somebody, or I don't want to say the wrong thing and have them get mad and then it ends. But in hindsight, I'm like, ew, like screw that guy. Like if he didn't like what I said, he wasn't the right guy for me anyways. I just
Exactly.
spoke my mind, and that's okay. And you can disagree with it, obviously, but yeah, it's funny how over time you build that confidence muscle back and start learning that, it's that wasn't the right fit, and you can find the right person and find the right fit for you.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with you. Well, amazing. Anything about the program itself? I mean, you've touched on the mindset and kind of everything we do. Anything else that you feel was important in your transformation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about the all or nothing approach, just changing that mindset and behavior, and the perfectionism piece, learning how to build that confidence muscle, even the workouts too. Just the last couple weeks, I think I told you, I started bringing like a notebook to the gym because I see a lot of people, doing that. And I'm like starting to try to like make stuff up on my own too, just to,
Hmm.
because I know enough exercises at this point that I'm like, okay, there's certain things I want to focus on. Like I can start kind of combining these and trying to do this myself, because I think, for the long term, that's the whole goal, right? This is
Yep.
about making this a lifestyle, about making this long term for you, because as much as I love working with you, you can't have a crutch with a coach, forever. And so
Correct.
it's one of those things that like I'm really proud that we've gotten to this point, and that I feel confident and you feel confident in my ability to be able to go out and do that on my own. And I
Yeah.
think that anybody that, by the way, hire Christina immediately. If you're on the fence, just do it. She's the best. But
Thank
I
you.
think that, I would say, just dive in with an open mind, and don't be afraid to share things. I mean, I know we talked about this. There are some things that, they were very vulnerable that I shared with you that I didn't necessarily want to put on the podcast, but, I would encourage people to be very vulnerable with you and to really do the work, because it does make such a difference. And you're not going to judge them. Like you're at least judgmental people. And so it's just like, don't be afraid to say those things and to get that out, because it's going to pay off in the long run, and you're really going to learn a lot, and you'll be able to take that with you forever. Like just these little things that we've talked about. Like I still hear that voice in the back of my head, and it really has helped. So it's an
I love it.
amazing, I don't even want to call it a program because it sounds so like I don't know
It's a
the word I'm looking
transformation
for, but
journey.
yes, a journey. Yes, go on the journey. It's so worth it. It's so fun along the way too, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for me. My life has just been made better. I feel better overall, and I also think about like the long term. That I'm not doing this just for today. I want to be. I hope to have kids one day. Like I want to be functional for them. Like I'm getting older too,
Yes.
so it's if you're an older parent, you want to be able to do that stuff with your kids and like not feel like my body's going to break.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I feel
Absolutely.
great, that I'm building up strength, and that is also, improving confidence, and I'm going to make good decisions going forward. So
You are. I'm so, so proud of you. And really the commitment you made to yourself, right? You've made this commitment to yourself. You've gone through discomfort, you've gone through change, you've gone through ups and downs, and you still said, I choose myself to in the next meal, the next moment, the next exercise, the next mindset. And you've just done one foot in front of the other every single day for the past 2 years. And now you're my little butterfly ready to fly
well,
away. She's transformed. And
thank
I
you.
am so proud of you, but I love to hear that you have that feeling of being proud of yourself, because really guys, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing. And that was a big switch too. I think in
Yeah,
your journey is, I'm doing this for me. Like I don't give a shit about anyone else, really. Like not really,
exactly.
but I'm
Yeah,
doing this
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
And that's what it's about. And so I'm so excited. I was thinking I have this really old PDF that it's a way to structure your workouts, and it just has like choose one from here, one from here, one from here. I'll send it to you. I mean, you like
Yeah,
you
that'd be
said, you could probably
awesome.
do it on your own, but yeah, I'll have to find it in Canva. But thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story. I think everyone listening is Kelsey. I mean, there's so many aspects of your experience and what the listeners heard that is true for a lot of people, and I'm just so thankful for you to be vulnerable and share parts of that, because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of individuals. For those of you listening, this is a wonderful episode to share with friends, with that person who is at the Orange Theory, or is not seeing the progress, or travels for work, or whatever it is, like knowing, oh, there are other people out there who are struggling in the same way, or have struggled in the same way, and there is a solution to that struggle, whether it's with me, or learning a lot of things that I teach you on this podcast and putting them into practice, because everything that Kelsey said, I've probably talked about here in some capacity. So
Yes, it's
that
never, ever,
is
ever too late.
correct. It is not. But also, if you are so inclined to do so, if you're watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button for us. And if you love what you're hearing, I need new 5-star rating and reviews. I don't think I have had a new one since the beginning of the year. So
Oh, come
you
on,
all you got
let's
to do
go.
is click the button. I know. Click 5. Well, here's the thing. A written one on Apple, the last one I have is in January, but I think you can just hit the 5 stars. So the written one is what I'm talking about, y'all. But anyhow, if you could do that, that would be awesome. And other than that, we're going to leave you guys the same way we do every single week, reminding you that what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Woo!